Okay. So, did you all get why I shared that with you? So, if you don't watch The Office at all and have no idea of the premise, they are a part of a paper company. Their job is to sell paper. And Michael is kind of like the villain slash goon of the whole show and says a lot of really stupid stuff. But at the end of the day, his heart and soul is to do well for his company. So Jan was all business, wanting to just talk business, talk numbers, and just make a deal right then and there. And Michael knew the importance of building a friendship with the man and showing him his heart behind his business and not just talking numbers and not just talking about business. So my husband is in marketing. I was thinking about this today because I shared a little bit about this on Team Call on Monday. So if you watch the Live Free Team Call, I touched on the fact that I really believe what's been the backbone of my business personally is maintaining friendships with people along the way. So even when I was maybe slacking a little bit on business building activities like inviting people to join me, I was still maintaining those relationships and sending messages to people and chatting back and forth. Even when people ghosted me and told me no, I still kept in touch with them about other things in their life. It's not like they told me no and I unfollowed them and stopped talking to them. When they told me no, I just started talking to them about something different. And so I was talking to Alex about that and saying, like, I really would like to talk about like perseverance to my team and about just like building friendships and having that be the true heart behind it. So Alex is in marketing and he gets taken out for sales pitches all of the time because it's his job to decipher who is going to like bring to and what from the company that he works at. And so he takes in the sales pitches and decides what's a good investment for his company. And those people, he's always coming home and talking about these people and saying like, so-and-so offered me tickets to a game, or they took me out to lunch, or they brought me here. And like, yeah, that sounds a little bit like buttering up, but when it comes down to it, those guys don't talk business to him at lunch meetings. They ask him about Carson. They ask him about me. They know what's going on in his life. They keep in touch with him. When they come across something that makes them think of him, they send him a text and say, hey man, I saw this today and thought of you. Has nothing to do with business, but they build and maintain a relationship with him. And those are the people who truly get his attention. And so I know that like we all come into this saying and thinking that we don't want to be salesy. But at the end of the day, if all you're focused on is your invite, then you are going to be salesy. You need to be building relationships with people. That is the backbone of your business. It is not the second thing you do. It is not the third thing you do. It is the very first thing that you need to be doing. If you look at any power hour sheet, the first thing that is on that power hour sheet is new connections. So whether you just started this business recently or you're just jumping back into this business or you've been doing it for a long time, I just really want you to think over how many people that you've invited that you truly have a connection with. Whether that be something like I think about all of you on this call. Noelle and I knew each other for a very long time. So that was kind of like an easy, like she saw me doing this and wanted to join. It wasn't like a hard connection because we already knew each other. So then there's Lorraine and I. Lorraine and I work together. And Lorraine actually wouldn't switch to me as her coach at first because I had just started. And I don't know if that's why she wouldn't switch to me at first, but it took her a long time. And then she switched to me as her coach. And then she ultimately loved the community and decided she wanted to coach as well. Allison and I were friends on Instagram, never met in life, never like talked about anything other than like, hey, I like your Instagram. And I would watch her YouTube videos and genuinely talk to her about them because I cared about her as an Instagram friend. And then one day she responded to me or messaged me and was like, hey, by the way, I'd like to talk to you about what you're doing with health and fitness. And so when I look at like, and I feel like all of us have one of those stories, right? Like either we knew each other beforehand or we connected on Instagram over something else, and then you joined our group or then you joined our team or both. And so that is what you need to be focusing on. If you're sitting here and you're like, I'm shooting out X, Y, and Z many invites and it's not working, like real tough love here. I have never known somebody to genuinely shoot out tons and tons and tons of invites consistently, show up consistently, and have great connections with people and not do anything. And so there's something missing there. Either there's a piece of the puzzle where maybe you're kind of like ebbing and flowing with showing up, which is really easy to do, but it doesn't mean that you can't come back from it. It just means you need to like learn to be more consistent. Or maybe you're not making the connections right up front with people, and that connection needs to be there first before you're inviting. Or maybe you're not even inviting consistently, and that's kind of hurting your business because maybe you only have a challenge group like every once in a while and not all of the time. And so, honestly, the thing that's going to get you to your goal in this business is showing up every single day, even when it sucks. I mean, you've heard me say a million times, like the hard things I've gone through over the past 2 years, that I've still showed up on those days. That doesn't mean that on those hard days, I necessarily was out doing a killer workout. Like when I was in preterm labor, I definitely wasn't working out that day, but I still showed up on my Instagram and was like, hey guys, I'm here. This is what's going on in my life. I shared what was going on in my life to people. And so if you're like in a season where you can't, if you're like, you have an injury, or you're postpartum, or you're pregnant, or you've got something going on in your life that is like stopping you from maybe what you think is the picture of a health and fitness coach, that doesn't mean you can't show up every single day. So don't let that be an excuse to you. Don't say like, if I had said, well, I'm on bed rest for 3 weeks and then I'm going to be, not able to work out for at least 6 weeks after I have the baby. And so I could be not working out for 3-4 months, depending on when I have him. So I guess I should just quit. Can you guys imagine? I would not be coaching right now because I quit because I would have had 3 or 4 months. No, every single day I posted about nutrition. I shared about what was going on in my life, and I kept showing up every single day. I kept showing up on my group. I kept sharing what my group was doing, the transformation they were having. So it needs to be consistency, showing up daily, not quitting, and making friends and being in it for the people, you guys. You have to be here for the people. If you're not in it for other people, if you're not in it because you love making friends, then it's just not going to work for you, because then it is just a sale. So if you don't want to be salesy and you want to do well at this business, you need to be making new connections. It feels time consuming. I get it, especially if you're an introvert. Like I'm an extrovert, so I get, like, my husband's an introvert and this would literally like drive him up a wall. So I understand, like, if you are an introvert maybe and you're like, well, that's not really where I get my energy, then you need to find a way to get your energy, like have your time to yourself, like find a way to like get that energy for yourself and then go connect with people, because that's your job. It is your job to pour into other people. So if you're like, well, I don't have a group yet, I don't have a group to pour into, well, then you need to find some people and pour into them. Find them on social media, find them in your, small group at church, find them in your coworkers. You need to find those people and pour into them and invite them into your group, because that's how it starts. And so there are literally no excuses to this business, you guys. There's none. You show up every day, even when it's hard, and you care about other people and pour into them. And once you build that momentum and like you have those people in your group, that is going to be your motivation to keep going. I shared in my call on Monday, like I have wanted to quit so many times this year, and I literally think of your guys' faces every single time. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I could never quit on those people. I could never get on a call right here and be like, you guys, I decided that this is too hard, so best of luck to you. I'm done. Oh my gosh, I could cry even thinking about that. I could never do it. And so know that, like, maybe you don't have that right now. Maybe you don't have that foundation of people, and that's discouraging to you. But know that I didn't start with that. You all weren't sitting here when I started these calls. It was pretty much just me and Noelle for a long time. And when I started my group, there was like 3 of us, okay? It was not a big party like it is right now. It was 3 of us. And that grew to 7, and then that grew to 10. And when I hit double digits, I threw a party. I thought that was amazing. And then we hit 30, and I was like, oh my gosh, we're this giant group now. And our group just kept growing and growing. And so, like, stop with the like self-sabotaging, no one wants to join me. You guys, if they don't want to join you, you're probably not making yourself very joinable. So open your arms up, walk into the room and say, hey guys, let's hang out. Be the person who is inviting people to join you, because that's how people want to join you. If I walked into the room and was like, hey guys, so we're gonna have team call tonight. I'd like to talk to you about my accountability group because it's really cool. It's doing really good stuff right now. So, do you think you want to join that? Maybe. Don't worry about it if you don't want to. It's okay. Actually, on second thought, you probably don't want to join, right? Okay. No, you're gonna be like, hey, we have this awesome group going on. I would love for you to join. I thought of you. I thought that you would be a great participant. You're so encouraging. You're so joyful. Do you want to come hang out with us? So, but before you can say that to somebody, you have to actually know them. Because if a stranger messaged you, I've gotten these messages actually, it is so not cool. If a stranger who literally has never talked to you in your life, doesn't even follow you, because that's what some people do. They don't even follow you on social media. They just send you messages. Okay, so that is cold messaging. And if a stranger does that to you and says like, hey girl, I love your vibe. I think you're awesome and you should join my business opportunity. No, you don't know me, sister. But if someone follows you, starts talking, like responds to your story and is like, oh my gosh, what's that recipe? I'd love to have it. Your kid's so cute. And then you start talking and then they follow you back and then you're going back and forth. And then after a little while, you're like, hey, do you want to come join our accountability group and explain what it is? Yeah, you'd be a lot more open to something like that. So build the relationship, and you have to do that now. Like relationships don't just like happen overnight. I can't tell you how many relationships that I have like built over the last 2 years that have not come to fruition. There are some that still haven't, or that have like recently, and I literally started talking to them in May of 2018, which is my first month as a coach. I have messages from people May 2018 and they signed up January 2020, February 2020. So if you quit before they sign up, well, then of course it didn't work because you left the party before they could show up. So I really need you guys to dig deep and ask yourself why you're doing this and why you're here. And truthfully, if it's not because you love other people, which I know all of you, and I know that the answer is that you love other people. So I know that that's not the case with you guys. But if I'm wrong and you dig down and you're like, I actually could care less about the people in my group and I'm just in it to make a sale. Guys, that's why it's not working. So if you're like, I love people, but I'm scared to talk to them, I think that's probably the more likely scenario, is that you're all like, no, I love people. I want this to be a community, but I don't feel qualified, or I don't feel confident, or I'm scared, or maybe you've been shot down before and that's discouraging to you or whatever. Just know that I have heard more no's than you could ever imagine. And a lot of those people I kept asking. And more than that, you guys, I didn't just keep asking them. I kept being their friend in between. I was telling Alex, there is a girl who I think might join our team tomorrow. We'll see. So this could be awkward because she could be watching this back, but that's okay with me. So she, her and I went to high school together, and we stayed in touch on social media, whatever. And I started inviting her probably right away, probably the first month. And we went back and forth. And and we're not like, we like know each other, but like probably outside of social media, we don't talk. So I invited her to coaching a long time ago. She told me she was signing up. She told me she was going to do it. And then like she totally fell off the face of the earth, like ghosted me, like didn't respond, didn't come back. So I just kept talking to her. I'd respond to her story and like genuinely, like this was not like an icky thing. This was not like I'm buttering her up or out to get a sale. Like I genuinely just kept talking to her, and she did the same to me. Like she would keep responding to my stories, and we kept in touch and we kept being friends. And then every once in a while I'd be like, hey, what about coaching? And she'd ghost me. And then we keep talking about other stuff. It's like our conversation is like me asking a question, her not responding, and then me being like, hey, your baby's so cute. And then we talk again. And so recently she was asking me about something that I had shared on my stories. We were going back and forth, and I was like, want to know what a quarantine is really great for? Coaching. Joking, because if you know my personality, that's my personality. And she ended up telling me like her story and why she like said no and why she wasn't able to do it at that time. Newsflash, it had nothing to do with me. She wasn't ghosting me because she thought I was weird or icky. It was her own personal situation, which 9.9 times out of 10 is the case. People will say no to you, and if you're anything like me, you like overthink things, or you just like take things on yourself, like take responsibility on yourself, and you're like, they said no to me because of me. I must have shared something horrible, or I must be really annoying, or they think it's weird that I asked them, or whatever. Like, we tell ourselves that it's our fault. And almost every single time, it has something to do with their life, their finances, their home life, their current situation with work, their whatever. Think about it if you were somebody who told me or your upline coach no. When it came down to it, you probably didn't tell them no because of them. You told them no because of your own situation. And when you came around, it was because it was the right time for you. And so we can't just disappear on people because it's not the right time the second we ask them. We have to wait for it to be the right time for them, which means we can't quit, because if we quit before they're ready, we missed out on them. We have to be consistent, because if we disappear on them, then they forget about us anyways. And then when the time's right, they're not going to like magically pull out of thin air that girl they talked to a year ago on Instagram who was selling fitness programs. No, you have to be in their face every day, like I am. And like so many of you are. You have to remind them that like, hey, I'm here and I'm doing this and I'm not going anywhere. And I'm going to be your friend in the process. There have been so many instances like that where like I've gone back and forth with someone, they've told me no, and I've just talked to them about something else in their life. I was talking to somebody else today, and we were going back and forth about like her signing up. Literally, I had the link sent and like she was going to sign up. And all of a sudden she like stopped responding. And so I reached back out to her and was like, hey, I know that was a lot of info. Is there something you'd like me to explain better? And she said, oh my gosh, I had this really overwhelming day. X, Y, and Z happened. Like I got caught up. And it was really, I'm not going to lie to you, it was really tempting to me in that moment because I was so focused. I was in work mode. I was like just focused on, it was really tempting to be like, okay, no problem, and talk more about the program. And instead, I pivoted and I said, I'm so sorry to hear that. Like, tell me more about that situation. Didn't talk to her about our group, didn't talk to her about the sale. And that's what you have to remember when you're in conversation with people. We are in work mode when we're in our inboxes, right? We're thinking, I need to sign this person up. And we need to learn to somehow switch that work mode to people mode all the time. So even when it's tempting to turn that conversation back towards the sale that you were talking about and so close to closing, you saw at the end there, Jan wanted to jump right in and offer to close the deal, right? And Michael said, shh. And the guy kept talking. And then he said, you know, actually, I guess we could do this. You have to show people you are in it for them, that this is not about making a sale, that this is not just about money in your pocket, but that you are their friend, you are going to be there for them, and you're going to continue to be there for them when they start the program and when they're in your group. And you cannot take it personally when people tell you no. You just have to keep being there, because I guarantee you they're not telling you no because of anything to do with you. They're telling you no because it's not the right time for them. And that's okay, because it probably has not been the right time for you at some point, and that person was patient with you. So you need to offer that same patience and that same grace and that same loyalty, and just keep being there and keep being their friend and keep offering it to them, keep inviting them. When you invite someone to your wedding and they don't RSVP on time, do you just cross them off and lock the doors at the wedding? No, you bug the heck out of them, usually in really like passive aggressive ways because you're in psycho wedding mode. But you like show up, you're like, okay, RSVP. Sometimes you write a Facebook status like, hey, if you don't RSVP back, then just set up a lawn chair or bring a lawn chair and a Lunchable. I saw that the other day. That was great. If you don't RSVP by this date, bring a lawn chair and a Lunchable. But you keep asking them. You don't just like, because you love that person and you want them to come to your party, but you also want them to let you know what's going on. So you keep asking them, but you don't just like, you said no, forget it, I'll move on to the next person. So shockingly, I am done in 23 minutes tonight. But that is my spiel for the night. And if you guys have any questions, like feel free to ask me questions about like whatever, or if you just have something going on in your own business that like you have questions about, scenarios you have questions about, conversations.
I do have one question.
Mhm.
When you have all these people that you are trying to keep up with and make sure that you have their kids' names right, even if you are longtime friends, like I'm so bad at remembering people's names, to be
Yeah.
honest. And if I think one of my things is like I'm just gonna be scared, like I'm gonna call somebody's name the wrong name, like their husband's name the wrong name or something, or just forget a fact about them that's really important. So what is like your go-to way to write down and remember people's names? Honestly, I'm an introvert, so like it's kind of mentally exhausting for me to keep up this all in my head. So like, do you write down these facts somewhere? Like what is your kind of go-to organization?
That is a great question, and actually something that we talked about and I forgot to mention. So thank you. Um, so everybody has their own thing. I I just usually scroll back up in the message, um, and like double check. I will literally sometimes have to go to that person's profile to remind myself what their kid's name is. So I don't remember all of the details. Like I love my people, but I don't remember every single thing about them. Um, so I will either scroll back up in the message or go to their profile. Like I take the time to go back to what we were talking about and kind of investigate if I'm looking for a specific like name or whatever. And another thing is you can make notes in your tracking system. So depending on what you use, whether it's pen and paper, and there's tons of trainings on this. So like I'm sure Noelle can send you some trainings if you haven't seen any, but tracking is really important to your business. It's actually something I haven't talked a whole lot about because I suck, but it's very important to your business. And so I currently do like pen and paper, and I'll just like write a note next to it and say like pregnant, like 20 weeks pregnant. And then if in February they were 20 weeks pregnant, then like, you know, in May, I'm probably not going to ask them to join because they're probably about to pop. So like I like just kind of keep track that way, you know what I mean? And know that like you're human, like you're gonna make errors. I for sure have said the wrong thing to people before, or like confused something before, or like I'm not perfect at this by any means. But making notes would be one thing in your tracker system. And then the other thing would just be like just scroll back up or go to their conversation, go to their profile if you're looking for a specific thing.
Another thing that reminded me to ask that is like, because we just watched like a clip from The Office, and so Michael actually would write on like an index card, and on the other side he would write like the like just a random fact about the person, you know.
Yes, I remember that episode. He like on the back of the index card, he has like two
Yes.
kids, like wife deceased or whatever. Like he
Yes.
had like all of these notes, and he would go to the meetings and be like, "How's your what? How's your kids?" Yeah, no, it's true. You have to keep notes. Hilarious story I'm going to share about my husband. He's probably going to kill me, but he'll never know, so don't tell him. He like used he went on a date with a girl. I like found this note in his phone, and it was like the girl's name and like her parents' names and like where she grew up, and I was like, what is this? And he's like, I didn't want to forget. We went on a date like before we were dating, and he never deletes anything. He was like, I didn't want to forget, so he had this note with like this girl's information so that his next date he wouldn't forget. So some people have to do that, and he's an introvert too, Shannon, like total introvert. Anybody else? That was a great question.
What do you do to make your new connections? Like, do you search certain hashtags or just like followers of like other followers? Like what's your usual method?
So I strongly suggest to all new coaches, like anybody who hasn't talked to a lot of people, you need to write down a list of 100 people you know and go off of that list and just like talk to people that you know personally, even if it's literally people that like are from like camp or like way back when. Like it doesn't have to be like your coworkers, your best friends, and your immediate family. Like it can be just people you know, and like get back in touch with those people. Another thing you can do is literally go through your current list of followers, and like some people will literally just go down the list of like I'm going to do A's today. I'm going to do B's today, and just talk to all of those people. So once you have like gone through your warm market, at the same time, like you said, you need to be creating your cold market or turning your cold market into a warm market. So you need to be doing that at the same time. So I found that hashtags are almost all like Beachbody coaches or other people trying to build a business. So I go to accounts that I love, not necessarily huge ones, like not ones with like 80 million followers. I don't even know if that's a thing, but I go to ones with like 100,000 followers or 30,000 followers. And I'll go to their most recent post, and you can actually, I don't know if you still can do this, you can turn post notifications on so that when somebody posts, it'll come up on your phone, and you can go to that post and like just follow the first 500 people that follow it, because then you know they're active on Instagram because they're liking a post. So as opposed to like going through their followers where it's like those 20 people you just followed could have not touched Instagram in 3 years, you're going to their most recent post, to the people who have liked it or commented on it, and you're connecting with those people, and you know that they're on Instagram right this moment, or like within the last 10 hours or however long since the most recent post. So I kind of mass follow right now. When I first started, I did it differently, but now I just mass follow basically anybody who doesn't look creepy. And I do it, hey Katie, I do it on accounts that I love and relate to very deeply. So I know that people following it and liking their stuff are probably going to have something in common with me. That's why I don't do it for like random things or things I only kind of like. Like I watch The Bachelor, but I don't necessarily want to connect with people that are like watching The Bachelor because maybe they're not all my people. But like everybody liking a Risen Motherhood post, like I'm probably going to find something to connect with them. And so that's kind of my like philosophy. If I like love 90% of the posts the account puts out, I'll go there. And I'll just follow a bunch of people at one time. And if they follow me back, then I send them a message, and I'm like, I kind of just introduce myself. I'm like, hey, I can actually read my message to you, but I'm like, hey, my name is Callie. I'm a wife and a new mom to a 1-year-old boy, and we're soon to be foster parents. The goal of my account is to just share about my health and fitness journey and spread joy. I can't wait to get to know you. And that's it. It's not inviting them to anything or like even asking them to say anything back to me. It's just introducing myself. And if they like that, great. And if they don't, that's fine too. So that's kind of what I do right now for new connections. And then I just follow them. And like, if we're not vibing and they're not following me back and I'm not following them, you know, I'll unfollow them after a while. Or if they're posting hilarious things, I tell them that they're hilarious. Or if their kid is really cute, I tell them that their kid is cute in a non-creepy way. Or if they're, you know, sharing something that I want to know more about, I'll ask them a question about it. So I try to just watch stories. Keep that limited, like don't just scroll, but you can literally set a timer for 20 minutes and just watch stories and connect with those people. Like if you are doing that intentionally, that can be a working part of your power hour, but it needs to be like a timed, not getting sucked into the deep dark hole of coronavirus memes and the Discover page. It needs to be like, I am watching these stories of people that I follow so that I can engage with them and get to know them better. Does that help? Any other questions? We have 5 minutes, but usually this says 5 minutes and then jumps right down. So we might have like 1 minute. Is everybody going to go watch The Office now? Lorraine hates it. Lorraine and I used to work, well, Lorraine still works there, for the Borough of Greencastle, which is a like government office. And so I used to try and get her to watch Parks and Rec, and she wouldn't do it. Oh, you do watch Parks and Rec?
Watching The Office, and we're on the last season. We only have like a couple episodes left.
Oh, you're gonna cry.
So emotional.
Yeah. I've already seen it, but like we're rewatching it because there's some things and I'm like, I don't remember this at all, but it's been fun.
Alex and I have watched The Office too many times. He's watched it more than I have.
David hates The Office. He thinks it's stupid.
I think it's stupid too, but we keep watching it and it's actually hilarious.
Stupid funny, stupid awesome. David
But
just
it's stupid funny. You have to like, I didn't even think I liked stupid funny. And then I'm like such an attachment person. So I like fell in love with the characters and I was like, oh my gosh, Jim and Pam.
exactly.
Now I love it.
I was just telling Drew, my husband, one of the most like underrated characters is Creed. Like to me,
I can't stand Creed.
hilarious.
He like just randomly pops in like and just like lets his presence be known.
Have you guys seen the meme about what each of the different Office characters would call coronavirus?
Yes.
No.
I'm going to share it in our page then because you all need to see it. And if you've ever watched The Office, it is 100% accurate to the character.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
You can just ignore it.
Oh my gosh.
I love it.
I promise not to make The Office a regular part of our team calls, but Alex showed me that. Alex, like I said, literally has memorized the entire seasons of The Office. So I was talking to him. He's like, "Oh my gosh, you got to show them this scene." I'm like, "How do you know 5 minutes out of one episode in one season of The Office?" He's like, "It's my favorite scene." Okay. But it was a good learning tool. All right, let's do a boomerang. Let me see. What filter are we going to use? That one sounds good. Libby, looking beautiful as always. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. Love you, ladies. Have a good rest of your night. Stay healthy.
Bye.